I get a lot of people asking me how we were blessed to walk away from corporate America in our early 30s. Well, listen, I don't want to keep that a secret. I want to share it with the world. And so maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're trying to figure out, how do I even get started on my journey of entrepreneurship and getting to a level of freedom? Well, text the word freedom to 737-777-9909. Enter your information in, and we look forward to sharing some information with you. A proven system with small overhead, right? That you can do part-time, spare time, right from the comfort of your home, and have amazing mentors, coaches, and a community of entrepreneurs who are willing to support you and help you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales. Have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever felt like there's got to be more to life than the reality that you see every day? Tune in weekly, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as we crack the codes to freedom in every area of your life. Welcome to Code Freedom. This is your host, Eddie Bales, and this is episode 126. And today we're going to talk about happiness. And, I was looking back and I definitely did an episode on happiness, but previously it was actually episode 22. So if you want to go back and reference that, you can. And I may even say some similar things, but I want to share some new things that, I just think it's important for me to talk about. Because look, isn't that the goal of everybody, is love and happiness, right? I mean, that's why we do everything we do, if you really think about it. Like, we work hard so we can pay bills, so we can provide for our families, so we can be happy, right? On some level or some capacity, we all seek to be happy, right? We all seek pleasure more than we seek pain. We don't seek pain at all, usually, but we're also seeking pleasure, and it's happiness. And happiness is a form of love. But I want to share a couple things with you that I think can really help, because sometimes it's like we got to do this and then I'll be happy. And if I could just do this, or if I could just get this, or if I could just have this, then I'll be happy. And that is the wrong way to think, my friends. I want to share with you some strategies that can really help you to really be happy most of the time. Now, don't get me wrong, you'll have your ups and downs, and life is going to happen and things of that nature. But what if you could be happy most of the time, right? I feel like I'm happy most of the time, honestly. Like, don't get me wrong, I have my moments, I have my situations, my seasons, and all that. And I'm even going to share with you some things that I've done. I've shared it before, but some things that I do to help me when I'm in a funk. Because guess what? I get in a funk every now and then, but I know how to get myself out. I don't just choose to stay there. I know I have the blueprint to get out, right? And so I wanted to read this quick quote to you. A man who is a master of himself can end a sorrow as easily as he can invent a pleasure. I'll say that again. I just want to make sure you got it in the back. You in the back, right? A man who is a master of himself can end a sorrow as easily as he can invent a pleasure. And it's interesting that I heard that quote, because I thought, man, that quote is so good. I don't even know who said it or where I got it from, but I immediately had to record it. And by the way, just a side note, in my phone, this is a life hack right here. I actually have a notepad app, and I actually have a notepad app, and one of the things that I store are quotes, right? One thing I learned from John C. Maxwell is to archive things, to store things, especially if you're going to be a thought leader, or you're going to write books, or you're going to do things like podcasts and things like that. When I come across a good idea, I want to capture it and I want to store it, and I know that I'm going to end up using it at some point. And so that's just a quick little life hack right there for you. You got that one for free, right? But if you want to cash at me, you can. I'm just playing. I'm just serious, right? But no. So here's another quote that I heard a few days later, and I'm like, okay, I got to do a podcast on this, because this is the second time. And one of my partners, who's a multi millionaire, he says, look, the happiest people are those who can dance like no one is watching. Oh man, I'm gonna say that again. The happiest people are those who can dance like no one is watching. And at the end of the day, if you want to be happy, number one, you got to choose to be happy. So that means no matter what's happening, I choose to be happy, right? Because guess what? It is a choice. And one of my other mentors says that choice is the voluntary act of doing that which is preferred. So check this, if you prefer to be happy, you have an opportunity to choose to be happy, right? And so something goes wrong in your life. You get to choose your reaction. You get to choose because see, we can't control the things that happen, but we can control how we respond to the things that happen, right? And don't get me wrong. I mean, you find out that a loved one is really, really sick. I'm not saying you're gonna sit here and be happy about it, right? That's not what I'm saying here. But what I am saying is that you maybe you get fired from your job. I'm not saying that you're necessarily going to be happy, but what if you could still be content? What if it just didn't phase you as bad because you know that you are good, right? You know that everything's going to work out. See, even Paul in the Bible said it. In Philippians 4:11, he says, not that I speak, and this is the King James version, not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. I'll say it again. Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. And then he goes on to say, I know both how to be abased and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things, I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. Right. And then it says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And so the point I'm reading with that, if I could just give my interpretation of that scripture, is that, hey, no matter when things are good and when things are bad, I've learned to be content. I've learned to be happy. And of course, we can read that in another version. But for the sake of time here, I'm not gonna do that. But that's my paraphrase is that look, things could be going like really, really well, and I'm going to be happy. And things could not be going so well, but I can still have a level of peace. I can still have a level of contentness. I don't know if that's a word, but I just made it one today, right? But again, like this is something that we get to choose, and if you just understand that, right? Like so here's the deal. I've said this many many times, but oftentimes people will say, "Hey, how you doing, man?" And I'm like, "Man, I'm incredible. I'm phenomenal." I always use those words, and it's because to me that's a state of mind. I choose to be incredible. I choose to be phenomenal, right? Now, I could have just had one of the worst days ever, but I'm affirming what I want because what I learned is to speak those things that are not as though they are, right? So if I want things to be horrible, then I just keep speaking horrible things and I'll just continue to attract horrible things. But if I have a bad situation, I get to choose my words and I can bring myself out of that situation with my words. Man, this is so deep. If you really catch this and if you really understand this, one day I had a revelation of when we speak, it's almost like a sword is coming out of our mouth. Well, no, I don't even want to say a sword. Well, yeah, let's start there because it's twofold. So a sword is coming out of our mouth, right? This is just a revelation that the Father gave me one day, and I just thought it was so powerful. A sword is coming out of our mouth, and an angel grabs this sword and gets to operate with this sword in however we have spoken. So if we've spoken negatively, then there are demons that are ready to take our words and use them against us, right? And fulfill it. They're here to say, look, you said this, 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 and this. So we can do this, right? Versus, there's an angel that's actually waiting for your words, waiting for you to speak the word. And hey, I'm not here to preach today, but I'm just saying, like, how powerful our words and our mind and just our thoughts and all this stuff is intertwined. We have like well over 60,000 thoughts a day. And did you know most of them most of them are negative. And then out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Then we speak it, and then we bring upon ourselves a self-fulfilling prophecy. Oh my goodness, right? We speak the very thing we don't want, we speak it into existence because we just keep saying it, right? And so, yes, when people ask me how am I doing, man, I'm amazing, right? Right. And again, like I said, maybe it wasn't an amazing day, but hey, I'm going to say it enough to where it will be an amazing day by the end of the day because I believe it, I'm affirming it, and I'm choosing, right? I'm choosing for that to be my reality. Does that make sense? So, man, this is what we call mind stuff, right? You know, scientists and psychologists and big thought leaders, they can call it things like the secret, and they can call it things like law of attraction. And hey, like I said, I subscribe to those ideas of thought, right? But it all came from the Bible. It all came from the Word. It all came from, the one who created us, right? Because these are lessons that once we understand it and we get to bring happiness into our life, right? So, like, there are people, if you ever notice that certain people who are always miserable or they're always looking for the negative, they're always looking for the bad, right? And then there's some people, man, every time they hear something bad, they're gonna find some kind of way to flip it and turn it in their favor for good, right? And I happen to be one of those people. Uh, I'm Mr. Positive, right? And like I said, it's only because I choose for that to be so. And so I hope you guys choose to be happy, right? Because if we're not going to be happy, what are we here for? What are we doing this for? I mean, yes, you have a purpose and there's something you're supposed to do in this life, but why not be happy while you're fulfilling that purpose, right? Why not live a happy, bliss life? And again, I said it over and over and over. You get to choose it, right? Don't be the victim, be the victor. Don't don't say, "Oh, woe is me. All this stuff is happening to me. Why me?" Have you ever thought to think? One episode we talked about questions, and we live our life based on the types of questions we ask. Well, instead of saying "Why me," what if you said "Why not me?" Because it's not happening to you. What if it's happening for you, right? Like, what if going back to that job, what if you were fired for that very reason so that a bigger door, a bigger blessing could be opened up to you and you would have never saw it if you still had the job, right? Um, I happen to know that to be fact, right? Because, in my situation, when I left corporate America, the floodgates opened up in my business, and it was like, after a while, I was thinking, man, I wish I'd have left corporate America sooner, right? Because things just started to happen for me, and they were already happening, but they started to happen on a different level, and because I no longer had the job, right, I was able to really scale my business in a big way. So, um, just know that every situation, there's a gentleman, he passed unfortunately last year. And he was a great, great man of God. He was a great leader, businessman, all that. And one of the things he would say is, "What's good about this?" Like any situation that was happening, he said, "Okay, what's good about this?" And that goes back to the questions. What questions are we asking ourselves? What's good about this? Like, what's good about this negative situation that's in front of me, and how can I turn it around? And when you start asking those questions, check this out. This is what's really cool. We have to get answers to those questions. And guess who's typically going to answer that question? If the spirit lives in you, and again, hey, I'm not here to preach today, but I'm just saying, if you ask the question, the spirit, if the spirit lives in you, right, then the spirit is going to answer that question, and the spirit knows what we don't know, right? The spirit knows all things. So, man, it's just this is such a rich episode in my opinion because not because of me per se, but I feel like I'm being led in this episode. I think somebody just really needs to hear this. And so, even if it's not you and you're listening to this episode, man, share this with somebody who you think you really need this episode to really help them out and get through the day. Maybe it's your mom, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's your spouse. I don't know. But I'm here to tell you that trouble don't last always. Joy comes in the morning, and there's never been a double night, right? So you'll get through it. This too shall pass. But while you're going through whatever you're going through, choose to be happy. And I promise you, things will get much better even faster. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode 126. Can't wait to see you on the next one. Definitely interact with us on our Facebook page, Facebook group. It's a group for engagement, so we just want to kind of connect there. So if you want to follow us there, go to thewaytofreedom.info. That's thewaytofreedom.info. And hey, look forward to chatting with you there. God bless you guys and take care. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for listening. Definitely feel free to take a screenshot of this episode, tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me on social media. I would love to give you a shout out. Hey, you might even get a prize. Who knows? But excited that you had a chance to take a listen. I hope you got a lot of value. And definitely feel free to give us 5 stars as well as a review. Show us some love, and we appreciate you. God bless you all, and see you all over the top.